Hey guys, today's lesson is going to be about tables and sentences and graphs with derivatives. Basically, when you have to pull the values from a table or somewhere else to answer the rest of the question. So let's look at this example. We're going to use the same table for the next 4 questions. It says if a of x is f of x plus g of x, find a prime of 2. So remember, that little guy right there is saying find the derivative. So let's find the derivative first. And when you have a sum like that guy, you just take the derivative of each individual term and we get our answer. So now it's asking me, hey, plug in 2 everywhere it says x. Fantastic. And now I have to go to my table. So I'm going to do just that. I have f prime 2, 6, and g prime 2, 10. So we have 6 plus 10. Now, in calculus, you don't need to simplify. So here is your final answer if you don't want to simplify. If you do want to simplify, get it to 16. However, these 2 things that I just underlined on the right-hand side, you have to have those problems. You cannot, that's not optional. You have to get it down to that side. Okay, same thing over here for the next problem. It says find b prime 2. Well, that prime symbol means take the derivative. So we're going to come in here and start the derivative. We notice there's a subtraction symbol. That just means take the derivative separately. And then go ahead and plug in 2 everywhere you see an x. And then grab it from the table. So f prime 2 again, that's going to be 6. G prime 2 is going to be 10. You get 6 minus 10, which is negative 4. Again, for a free response, 6 minus 10 is a perfectly acceptable answer. Negative 4 is a perfectly acceptable answer. But you have to have it as numbers. You cannot leave it the step before that, which is I'm trying to pull something from a table. Okay. Well, this I think it's a little bit funky, okay? Because here it's saying find c prime 2. That means find the derivative. So I'm going to come in here and it says f of x times g of x times. You just said multiplication. You just said that you needed to use the product rule. So the product rule, take the derivative of one function, leave the other the same, and then plus do the reverse of that. So I always like to do f prime g and then f g prime, but you could do f prime g and g prime f. It doesn't matter what order you do that in, as long as one function has the derivative and the other doesn't. So that first situation, f prime of 2 times g of 2, we're multiplying those 2 numbers together. And then for f of 2 and g of 2, we are multiplying f of 2 and g of 2 together times 10. I should have written it with the 2's plugged in. Again, we are done right here. If you want to leave that as a free response answer. If not, 6 times 9 is 54. 5 times 10 is 50. So you can even leave it right here if you wanted to, but we get 104. You might be saying, well, what's the benefit of leaving it unsimplified? Well, the benefit is, are you one of those people that sometimes says 5 times 10 is 15 by accident? If you just leave it there as 5 times 10, you're right. But if you go over here and you go 5 times 10 is 15, and then you do all the math, you get the problem wrong. So that's the benefit of leaving things unsimplified. Okay, we got ourselves the quotient rule. I told you whenever we do the quotient rule, you're always going to hear me say the mnemonic. So low, D high, minus high, D low, all over the derivative squared. The denominator squared. I got my D words incorrect. I am going to take a moment to replace all the X's with 2's so that I have things written correctly on my paper. And I'm always going to write it all over the denominator. Please don't do this thing that students like to do, which is they think the denominator squaring it is the easiest part. So what they do is they don't write the denominator and then they forget about it. And that happens quite frequently. So we have g of 2 and f prime of 2. That's these 2 numbers right here. I'm going to do 9 times 6 minus, then I get f of 2 and g prime 2, which is those 2 numbers over here. So remember, the quotient rule and the product rule, they kind of basically start the same, except product is plus and quotient is minus, but their setup at the start is the same. And then we have g of 2, which is 9 squared. Question for you. Do I have to simplify this? if it's not multiple choice, I do not have to simplify this. I'm going to go ahead so we exercise that muscle. But again, you do not have to simplify. So we get 54 minus 50 all over 81. We get that is 4 over 81, and that's our final answer. But I don't have to simplify past 9 times 6 minus 5 times 10 all over 9 squared. That's the benefit. Okay, so that was just 4 examples straight through doing a table. Sometimes you see it like this, and it gives you specific values. So what is this saying? D over dx, that's derivative of the function h of x over x, so a quotient, and then plug into. So this is saying take the derivative of this function and then plug into. So I'm going to do low d high minus high d low, which is just 1, all over original denominator squared. And then I'm going to plug in 2 for all of those values where it says x. So 2 times h prime of 2 minus h of 2 times 1, which I'm not going to write times 1, all over 2 squared. Am I done yet? Nope, I'm not done yet because I haven't actually pulled numbers from the sentence or the values. So it told me that h prime was -3, and it told me that h of 2 was 4. Am I done yet? I could be. If it's free response, I'm done. But if it's multiple choice, I do need to say -6 minus 4 over 4. I do need to say -10 over 4. I do need to say -5 over 2. That is only if it is a multiple choice problem. If it is a free response problem, I can stop once I have it down to numbers. So let's do another example. Oh, I have f of 4 equals 2, f prime 4 equals 7, g of x is the square root of x, find f prime 4. Okay, there's my command. Find w prime 4, excuse me. If wx equals f of x times g of x. Aha! So I have to do the product rule. So w prime x says take the derivative of the first function, leave the second function the same, plus keep the first function the same, take the derivative of the second function. Now remember, it told me g of x was the square root of x. Do you remember, ladies and gentlemen, that when I take the derivative, I can't have a radical to be able to use the power rule. So I need to rewrite it first, and then I can do the derivative, multiply the exponent, subtract 1. So I'm going to go ahead and take a moment to rewrite this equation. So f prime x times g of x plus f of x, and then g prime x is 1/2 x to the -1/2 power. So now I can plug in 4, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to plug in 4. I get f prime 4 times the square root of 4 plus f of 4 times 1/2 4 to the -1/2. Can I stop right here, ladies and gentlemen? Is it good enough for me to stop? Not yet, because it told me, and I have to fill out values for these guys, and it was given to me. So I have w prime 4 equals 7 times the square root of 4. And then I have f of 4, which is 2 times 1/2 4 to the -1/2. And now I can stop, ladies and gentlemen. Isn't that amazing? I can just stop right there if it's free response. If it's a multiple choice problem, I have to keep going. So remember, this guy means root, this guy means raise, and the little negative sign there means the reciprocal, or just put a 1 over me. If I'm already a fraction, just flip me over. So we have 7 times 2. We have 2 times 1/2, which is going to be 1, times the square root of 4, which is 2, raise it to the first power, which is 2, and flip it over, which is also 1/2. So I end up with 14 plus 2 over 4, or just 1/2. So you could say 14.5. You could say 29 halves, or whatever you want to do. But these are your correct answers. Okay, 2 more to go. Let's look at this one. It says find u prime 1. So find the derivative and plug in 1 if u of x equals f of x times g of x. Oh, we got ourselves another product rule. So I'm going to take a moment and write out the product rule. Aren't you getting such good practice of writing out the product rule in this case? And then again, I'm going to plug in 1. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this time we have a graph. So when we have a graph and it says g of 1, I'm just looking for the y value at 1. But when I have a graph and it says g prime of 1, the prime stands for derivative, and derivative means slope. So first you're going over here. So let's say f prime 1 is saying what is the slope at 1? And it is up 2 and over 1. You can see that up 2 and over 1. So this is 2. And then g of 1 is what's the actual value at what? 1. Okay. And then f of 1 wants to know what's the actual value at 1. Well, for the f function, the actual value is 2. And for the g function, g prime of 1, what is the slope at x equals 1? Well, there's the g function. Here it is. It comes down 1 and over 1. So that makes it negative 1. So we end up with 2 minus 2. Our answer is 0. You can stop in that step right there because that's all numbers. But that is the end of that problem. One more to go. We got ourselves the quotient rule. Let's do the quotient rule. Low d high minus high d low all over low, low, or I like to say low squared because I tell you just keep it that way. Okay, and then it says plug in 5. Okay, so g of 5, f prime 5 minus f of 5, g prime 5 all over g of 5 squared. Anytime it asks me for g of 5, it wants to know what's the y value at 5. So that is 2. So I'm going to put a 2 here, and I'm going to put a 2 here. F prime 5, I want the slope of that down 1 over 3. So we have negative 1/3. Minus f of 5. Oops. F of 5. Oh, I thought I was erasing it. What happened there? Okay. F of 5 is what is the y value at 5? It is 3. G prime 5. It is asking what is this slope? So it looks like it's up 2 and over 3. All right. And we're done. We're done if it's free response. If it's multiple choice, let's get some fraction action here, okay? So let's do some fraction action. On the top, I have negative 2/3 and I have negative 6/3. On the bottom, I have 4. Over here, I have negative 8/3. On the bottom, I have 4. Keep, change, flip. We get negative 8/12, and that is going to simplify to negative 2/3. And now I have my answer. So that's just a quick little thing about how to do tables and graphs and maybe sentences while also being aware of the rules. So hopefully you understand that and we can do some practice problems. Have a good one.